Has
Good morning,
started.
everybody. Good morning, everybody. It's 8:02, and we're going to be calling to order the August monthly meeting of the Prison Board of Inspectors to order. We will begin our meeting with an opportunity for any public comments for items that do not appear on today's agenda. If anybody does have public comment, just feel free to unmute yourself on your Blue Jeans application, and we'll recognize you as you unmute yourself. Any public comment at this time? Okay. We will take public comment as each item is under consideration throughout our agenda. And again, feel free to unmute yourself and I'll recognize you in the order that you'd like to speak. Okay. We've been looking for a motion to approve the minutes from our July meeting. Would there be a motion to approve?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, moved by Controller Moser, seconded by Commissioner Dersham. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Hearing none, the motion is carried. Okay. Chris Wardenshell, we will turn it over to you for monthly reports. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Starting off with our returning citizens services report. Center County Mental Health with Amy. A year ago, she saw 88 individuals when life was normal, per se. This year, July 20, she's done 22 phone interviews, referred 4 returning citizens to Dr. Wolf and 4 to Cross Halls Mental Health. Dr. Wolf has seen 4 individuals, 4 returning citizens 5 times this past month. 0 group session. Still, we can't cross-contaminate our units, so we have not had open our group session up there. There's a lot more on the list that we're looking to increase his services. We may have to add another day. I know Wednesday he's there. They're doing virtual meetings from 9 till 12, 12:30, sometimes 1 o'clock. And since we can't do the group sessions, we're probably going to be talking to him about increasing some more hours. He's looking at what's available for his time frame. It might be another day of the week, might be on a Friday or so forth. So Crossroads Drug and Alcohol, we have 1 male individual that met 5 times this past month, 0 females at this time. Mental health group, there's 3 males that had individual sessions. They met 5 times per this past month, and we had one female that had treatment. Our Center County Compass program, the place Pride and Choice. We have a male group that is 12 returning citizens. They meet 3 times per week for the past 5 weeks. The female group is 18 returning citizens, 3 times per week for the last 5 weeks. Work release and community reentry workers. Centerpiece, no eligibility returning citizens this time. County maintenance, 0. Grounds, we have 2. Work release, nobody eligible at this time, and a year ago we had 8. Work release, non-eligible snapshot of 7/31/2020. We have 1 that refused. We have 3 that are on DC status. 4 is historical. The history of the correctional facility, which could be DC refusal, DC, and the numerous reasons why we have not chosen for them outside clearance. 5 are for the nature of the charges. 2 are pending new charges. 1 has a detainer from an out of county. 1 was removed from work release. 1 is on quarantine, and 3 are pending outside clearances at this time. Our snapshot for our 7/31/2020 for our population. Center County population was a total of 92, 16 females, 76 males. County sentence was 22, 6 females, 16 males. Unsentenced was 68 with 10 females and 58 males. State sentence, we have 2 males waiting to go upstate. Our out-of-county population, tentative county population, was a total of 55 this day. 17 females, 38 males. County sentence was 21, 4 females, 17 males. Unsentenced was 34, 13 females, 21 males, and nobody waiting on state for out of county. Just a look from July 1 to July 31st of our population. Center County is in the blue, and the contract is in the orange. How we kind of got a little close there on the 8th, where we were hoping to get the Tennant County above our population, but however, that decreased as well. So it just shows our population for the last month, how it the highs and lows there. Returning citizen report, continuing on with the behavior modification status. We have tier 1, we have 8 individuals. Tier 2, we have 1, and tier 4, we have 7. Individuals that came into our correctional facility that had co-occurring disorder. A year ago, we had 22 out of 115 intakes. This year, we had 35 out of 94 intakes. That was 37.23% of our intakes. Only out of those 35, only 18 were taking medications upon intake at that time. So there's a lot that came in that was self-medicating or not taking any medication at all. Out of that 35 is 20 from center, 13 males, 7 females, 15 from the out of county, 12 males, and 3 females. Individuals or returning citizens that were on suicide watch. A year ago, we had 18. This past July, we had 15. 8 of those were from center, 6 males, 2 females, 7 from out of county, 6 males, 1 females. Out of the 15 that were on suicide, 2 of them were detoxing, and they were from out of county, and it was 2 males. The detox total, a year ago it was 40, 35 from center, 5 from others. This year it was 34, 30 males, 4 females. Out of that 34, 15 was from center, 14 males, 1 female, 19 from out of county, 16 males, and 3 females. Our substance detox numbers between our multi-cocktails of array of illicit drugs as well as heroin, we're at the top with 11. 11 was heroin and opiates, 3 from center and 8 from out of county. 5 was benzo, 2 from center, 3 from out of county. 2 was from meth, 2 from center. 5 was alcohol withdrawal, 2 from center, 3 from others. And our multiple, we had 6 that came in on detoxing off heroin and benzo, 2 from center and 4 from out of county. 1 heroin and meth is center, 1 benzo meth center, 1 alcohol meth center, 1 alcohol benzo center, and 1 heroin, benzo, and alcohol was from center. Our facility initiation, our FIMAT numbers, again, due to COVID-19, we have no new injections at this time. We are working, trying to see if they're willing to take our returning citizens for injections. We're working on those numbers, or we're working on that communication. Hopefully this month or next month, we'll have some people going in to receive those injections. Our prime care report, inpatient, we had 1 individual there for 2 days for a DKA. The COVID-19 testing results, no big change there. We had 6 positive way back in April, with 37 negative, and we have none pending at this time. Total returning citizens seen by the physician or PA a year ago was 77. This year was 76 individuals. Total medical transports of outside the physicians was 15 a year ago and 25 this past month. Our mental health clinician individuals seen a year ago, our mental health clinician saw 267 month of July. This past July, she saw 136. Mental health patients on psychotropic medications a year ago was 102. With our ADP was 260, which is 39.2% of our population at that time. This past July, we had 100 on the psychotropic medication, 63.7 of our total ADP of 156. Our daily average patient diagnosed with mental health, a total of 98 out of 156 ADP. A year ago, our category C was 100, which was 38.5%. Our category D was 24 with 9.2 of our population. This past July was 82, which is 52.3% of our population, and category D is 16, 10.2% of our population. Just a breakdown, we're going to go through two different slides of our mental health stability ratings. It shows what population we have in our correctional facility, as we have a stability code, or our category A is 21 individual, which is 17% of our population. Category or stability code B is 10 individual, that's 8% of our population. Code D is 13, I'm sorry. Yeah, code C is 82. It's our biggest. Our population is 65, and code D is 13, is our 10% of our population, with a total of 126 individuals. We have 17 waiting for placement, with our total population of 143 for the snapshot on 7/31/2020. We broke it down one more step with our mental health stability rating by county. The blue is Center County, and the green is a tentative county. So our stability code A is 14 males and 7 females. Our code B, or category B, would be 8 males and 2 females from out of county. Our stability code C from center is 40 males and 15 females. From out of county, it's 15 males and 12 females. Our stability code D is for Center County is 4 males and 1 female, and out of county is 5 males and 2 females. Our inmate grievances report. This past July we had 26. A year ago we had 39. We had 11 non-grievable. Non-grievable found it was 0. Grievable was 9. 0 found it. First appeals were 2, amended 0, and nobody appealed to the second level at this time, and we refused 6 individuals for various reasons. Booking intakes, July 2020, we did a total of booking of 169. A year ago, we did 228, which we were down 59 individuals, which I think that's due to the circumstances. I think we're doing very well there. On 11/7 shift, they processed 13, 7-3, 29, and 3/11, they processed 127. And that's my report.
Thank you very much, Chris. Any feedback, questions from any of the prison board members on the presentation?
None.
I'm good.
Me too.
I'm good.
Okay. Any of our any public comment, any discussion from anybody else? If you'd like to ask any questions of the warden on these.
I have, hi, it's Kathy with Centerpiece. I just have a quick question, and it's really just my information. The unsentenced numbers from last year to this year are probably double. I should grab the page number for you. I apologize, I didn't. And I know that that's probably due to a lag in the courts, just trying to get up and running and getting everything processed through. And I know they're working as hard as they can, but how has that jumped in length of stay? So last year, the average length of before they were sentenced versus what it is now, and I don't know that you can answer that.
I know the length of stay last year was 40, 41, 42, maybe 43 days. I'm trying to think right offhand. I know I have the numbers. I don't have them just with me right now, and I have not checked what the length of stay is, because we go on a 12-month period. I can check in the 12-month period and run that data and see what our length of stay is for this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be the length of stay for unsentenced has to have gotten, I would think, notably longer since there's been such a lag.
Yeah, the courts, I mean, they've been working with individuals. I know they have jury trials coming up. They have things set up for that. So they are trying to move the courts forward on this. I just don't have the numbers for that of how many's going
That's
going to trial or not going to trial at this time. So,
No, that's fine. That just kind of jumped out at me. So, all right, thank you.
yep.
I'm sorry. My video is not working, so I apologize. This is Judge Oliver speaking. Commissioner Pipe, if I could just have a minute, I might at least be able to provide a little bit of information. So,
And before you do that, Judge, the High Sheriff of the county, if you'd be willing to mute your phone, that would be terrific. Thank you, sir.
okay, thank you. Just for everybody's information, as the warden pointed out, we have been working very diligently here at the courthouse to try and be in a position to move as many cases as we can so that we don't have this situation where we have people just sitting in jail awaiting trial, essentially. That's important to all of us here. Judge Marshall has taken the lead on working out the logistics of jury selection, and we do have a jury selection scheduled for, I'm going to say August 24th and 25th, so right around the corner. All of the different players involved, the DA's office, PD's office, private defense counsel, have also worked together to identify cases that, definitely can be tried in that time period. We also have plans to have jury selection again in late October, if everything stays if we stay in a position where we can do that safely, and hopefully that will happen. So I wanted to let you know that, because we all are really working our best to make sure, that we don't have people just kind of languishing, awaiting trial on untried charges. That's important. I mean, I can't stress the importance of that enough. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of our timeline. We're hoping to be able to move more cases in that October through end of December term, and to just get some of this taken care of. If you have any questions that I can answer, I'd be happy to do that, but hopefully that's just a little bit of helpful information. Thank you.
Hey, I can add to that. This is Bernie. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Please. Thank you, Mr. District Attorney.
I was asked that question maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, so I dug into one day's numbers of unsentenced, which would be representative. I think if I dug into it today, it would be the same thing. So I had the prison send me the names of the individuals that were listed as unsentenced, and roughly about half the people that were listed as unsentenced were individuals who were on some type of a probation or parole hold. So that number does not represent people on cash bail or pending charges. That represents probation and parole holds or other holds and people who are on cash bail. So I don't want the court system to look at that number and say, oh my God, we have all these people waiting for trial. No, we have approximately half of them waiting for some type of a probation or parole resolution on their cases. The other half are there on cash bail. I then sent that list of individuals to all our ADAs who responded back to me, and they were all, with just a couple of them which were new arrests, they're all fairly serious cases. So when you dig into those numbers, I think you gotta pay attention to what it represents, and that's what I can tell you from one day's snapshot of that number that I actually researched the individuals' names, and that would have been in the last 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Michael, I have a question.
Absolutely, sure.
I just had a question about, this is Janet from the Prison Society, the person who was sent to the hospital with the diabetes, and I can't pronounce that word. So people at the jail know that we have tracked in many cases people with diabetes 1, which is way more serious than diabetes 2. And I'm happy that action was taken. I guess my question, if you can answer it, is, was this somebody who was not known as a diabetic, because that can happen, or was this somebody who actually was known to be a diabetic and it just needed hospitalization?
I'm not sure who the individual. I'm trying to think who the individual was. I don't know if Glenn or Mel's on, if they can recall who the individual was.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Mel.
It's someone who's sorry, Glenn's echoing. It's someone who's a known diabetic. They came in using drugs from the outside, and so when they got here, their diabetes was not under control because of the drug use. So we had to get them stabilized, and it took us probably about a week to get them stabilized. And we've had one small incident that was able to be taken care of in-house since then, but they weren't controlling it on the street.
I see. I really appreciate that answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to both Kathy and Janet for those questions. Any other questions before we move on with old business? Okay. We do want to recognize as well, before we move forward, that Steve Corbel is joining us today. We're going to be having some discussion in executive session regarding an update on the contract that we're negotiating with the correctional officers at the facility. So we just want to thank Steve for joining us for the length of the call, and we look forward to that update. So with that, we will then move to old business, and we're going to be talking a little bit about COVID-19, and we'll turn it back to the warden.
Thank you, Commissioner Pipe. Just going back with programs, like I said, we've been working well. We actually increased Amy Miller with the phone interviews. That's been working out really well. Our Crossroads Mental Health and DA, that's increasing because they're continuously doing interviews. So I know those numbers will be increased, as well as Dr. Wolf's. Hopefully we can get more hours for him to see these individuals. We're looking at, we are starting meditation for the men. We have done yoga with the females for virtual programming. We are looking at AA and NA for virtual meetings as well. I thank Chad and Margaret and Commissioner Pipe for getting us additional laptops to be able to accommodate our virtual meetings, our virtual programs for our returning citizens. We have 3 total now, so I think we're going to be pretty well set that we could use those and start maybe possibly doing some group therapy with the Crossroads as well as Penn State. We're hoping to do that with 3 different areas. So yeah, that's where we're at with our programming, and it's working out pretty well. Visitation, right now, I'm kind of leery on opening back up right now. There's no other county in Pennsylvania is talking about opening their visits up right now. Butler was the only one that was really on the forefront of a opening up, and they have actually set back, and they're going to rediscuss theirs in September, possibly October, because they have a same thing as with colleges and so forth, opening high schools, opening back up if they do. The unknown is what they're worried about right now. So they're kind of just riding the waves out here on the visitation. So that's my stance. I'm hoping the board supports me on that right now. I think we need to just ride the waves right now and see where we end up at in September and October.
On that visitation point, Warden, I think we can give you some feedback. Is there anyone who would disagree with the warden's assessment and recommendation at this point?
No.
Okay. All right. So Warden, we would still be supportive of that. And again, as things change, we could look at that. Was there a question on that, Connie?
Yes, I'm having a hard time getting my head around the issue with not allowing visitation when they will be non-contact visits when they occur. Is it that you're concerned about your staff in the visitation area, or a problem of sanitizing the areas in which a visit would take place?
It comes down on both factors. We're looking at the safety for our staff, because when we have a relief officer that comes out to our visitation officer to relieve them, of course, they could be exposed, and then they could bring it back to the returning citizens. And of course, here we are again. They're back with the returning citizens, and if they have it, or they get it from a public, just I think in a sense we're looking at just the safety for our whole program right now in our jail right now with our staff as well as our returning citizens. For sanitation, trying to keep individuals with their mask on. That's always not the easiest thing because we have some returning citizens that refuse to wear their mask all the time. So during the visit, they must take their mask and must wear it at all times. Right now we have video visitation and so forth, and they're not wearing their mask during the video visitation. So that's our biggest concern there. So right now, I just want to be safety for our staff as well as our returning citizens inside our correctional facility.
Okay, thank you, Warden. All right, future considerations then, Chris, going forward then, anything to add?
Right now with our quarantine, I got to thank the courts, the DA, the public defender, the probation. They've been working really, really well with us. I couldn't ask for much more with them when they do bring individuals or returning citizens into our facility. A lot of times they're being sentenced and they're coming in as doubles, so they're able to be housed together. So it kind of helps us out with our cells, so we don't have to single status anybody. So they're able to be housed together, and that 2 people in one cell is a lot easier than having 1 in each cell. That takes up a lot of room. So right now we're holding our own. Like I said, I've been working really close with Ryan from probation when they're going to go out and they're going to bring some individuals in. They usually bring them in as 2s or 4s, which is a big plus for us for our quarantine. So right now we're holding our own, and I thank the courts for everything they're doing with us.
Okay, thank you, Warden. Any questions, comments on future considerations during the pandemic? Okay.
Yeah, I got one comment, folks.
Please, go ahead.
This pandemic's not going away in the foreseeable future. We're going to have this conversation 3 months from now, 6 months from now. God forbid we might even be having this conversation a year from now. So I understand we're in the short term, but I think that in reality, you're going to have to start thinking medium term and long term because we may be living with this for quite some time. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't have any solutions, but I'm saying that to say we're just going to pretend it's going to go away at some point in the next short to medium term may not be realistic. And then the question becomes, how long can you have individuals there for a year that have no contact with anybody other than through video? So I throw it out as a question, not with any solutions, but it's something that we probably need to think about at some point.
Thank you, Bernie. I would agree. It is most likely going to be with us for at least 6 months. So I would absolutely agree with that. So we need to think on that. Absolutely. But no, I appreciate that. Okay.
Michael,
Please, yes.
that was really my point. I'm very concerned about the fact that individuals are not having face-to-face contact with family members. I mean, I don't know if you would have to limit their list of visitors, only family members, to cut down on the number of visits, but I agree with District Attorney Cantorna that this is a serious issue.
Commissioner Pike, Mark Fraley here.
Yes.
I'd like to echo, having been there, contact, the video thing's nice, but having visitation's key. If we're worried about mental health and if we're worried about behavior in behind the walls, and I know they're doing everything they can, but as soon as they can, really some kind of visitation has got to, that has to be like a top priority just for everybody's well-being. And also for the family, for like spouses and Yeah. Just my 2 cents, but it is important.
Absolutely. We're not arguing with you. I think we are recognizing the fact that the pandemic presents unique challenges based upon asymptomatic individuals, how the virus spreads, and we really have to weigh the health and safety of the whole facility. And that is something that we are prioritizing at this point. And we're also doing the best that we can in increasing mental health services there. We are, again, moving to a more video-based programs. So we're doing that to the best that we can. But right now, the health of the overall facility is the focus. However, we do recognize the long-term consequences or long-term issues that are presented by that. And so, the warden is not necessarily saying, or the direction we're giving him is not necessarily, and his team, we're going to do video contacts for the next, year or 2 years, just video visits. We're saying right now that's the solution, but if there are other ways that we can bridge that gap, so let's look into them. So we hear that loud and clear. We appreciate that.
I didn't mean to be argumentative.
Oh, no.
Because I think everything you're doing now is awesome. I don't think you could be doing a better job. I'm just saying, as soon as we can, it should be really a top priority. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate the feedback. That's what you are here for, to provide that perspective. So absolutely. Anything else under future considerations? Any feedback? Questions? Okay. All right. Thank you, Warden, for that discussion there. We're going to be then moving into our new business, which is a policy revision.
Yes, our 306 audio and video recording, since we are granted a video or a body worn camera grant, we were able to purchase 10 new body worn cameras for the facility. So we just got those in a week, about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. We just received those. So we figured we might as well get right into the policy and get that changed so we can add the 10 new body cameras to our facility and new positions. So the gist of it, we just added the 10 new body cameras, stating that we have 10 more, and we added new positions that will be assigned to carry the body-worn cameras and to insist that they will be on standby every time they place one on them, instead of having it off completely, making sure that it's on standby, so anytime an incident happens, they can double tap and it can start recording immediately. So just asking the board for approval of the revised policy. It's very minimal change. Like I said, all it was adding the 10 new body cameras and who's going to be carrying the body-worn cameras.
Thank you, Warden. From the prison board members, any feedback, comments on the revision to the policy?
None.
No questions.
Okay. Any feedback, questions from anyone from the public? Okay. We then look for a motion to approve the revision of the policy.
Motion to approve the policy, Commissioner Higgins.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded appropriately to revise the policy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The motion is carried. Okay. Thank you very much, Warden. And then we're going to go into monthly reports, and we will turn the floor over to Carrie. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just two updates briefly. Our drug overdose statistics continue to rise this year. We are currently at 7 accidental overdoses, 3 suicides by overdose, and 2 pending toxicology results. We have surpassed last year's total of 9, and it seems this will be our higher year. In the way of grants, we were awarded the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Grant through PCCD. The county was awarded $107,146, of which the jail will be receiving $35,387 in supplies, everything from electrostatic sprayers to gowns and masks, a very nice elevated body temperature detection system. So other agencies will also be receiving some funding. This grant was specific to criminal justice related partners. So the Youth Detention Center will be receiving funds, as well as Center Safe, the Probation Department, the Sheriff, and then Spring Township and Ferguson Township, and then the courts and MDJ's offices. So that is the first round of funding that they released. They released $8 million, and they indicated they'll be releasing at least another $8 million in the fall. So we'll try to do another application then and get some more funding for different agencies or different supplies related to COVID. So we're excited about that. And then just briefly, we haven't received word on the JAG grant that we submitted. If you recall, that funding would be to support some new programming at the correctional facility. But I did receive, grant was returned to me for a question and a modification. So that's always a good sign, because they don't waste their time having you change some things if they're not going to fund it. So fingers crossed, we will find out if we get awarded at the September commission meeting of PCCD. But that is for over $90,000 in funding and would support potentially a new mental health specialist at the correctional facility, as well as new programming. So fingers crossed, we're excited about that. So that's all I have, if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Carrie. Any questions for Carrie? Okay, thank you very much, Carrie. Appreciate it very much. Prison Society, Janet, we'll turn it over to you for any updates.
Sure, and I'll invite either Mark or Connie to add after I make my comments. I want to thank the warden for organizing a meeting with himself and Natalie Corman and Tracy Small to talk about the question of people who are mentally ill in the facility. And this was something that came from the statistics from last month's Board of Inspectors meeting, and the number of people who were on medication or who were C or D code, and why that was and what it meant. And of course, what happened was, and please, Warden, correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody who's on the call, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around the larger issue. But it's a problem that's obviously way bigger than anything that the jail itself can handle. And one of the things that came out of the discussion is that people who potentially could be somewhere besides the Center County Correctional Facility might not be able to be placed in the community because of lack of housing opportunities, either there's community-based housing or inpatient housing. And the relationship between, how we handle our mentally ill as a community and the burden that is placed on Center County Correctional Facility to take up the slack when we don't have the ability to solve those problems outside of the jail. And so it was, for me, an eye-opening discussion. I think it needs to be personally, and our own Prison Society chapter hasn't met since then, so I'm only speaking for myself here. I'm not speaking on behalf of the chapter, but I think it's a really high priority because the whole issue of mental illness, just as Carrie's statistics have pointed out, becomes even worse during COVID-19. The lack of support for people who have lost their jobs. I mean, all of that is, creating all kinds of burdens and stresses on the county already. And I understand I'm asking a county that's already stressed out to even increase what it's doing to take care of these folks. So I don't want to, I would be grateful for any response that you have. I don't want to prolong the meeting. But if anybody can correct what I'm saying or refine what I'm saying so that I make sure that I have the correct understanding, that would be great. And before I turn the floor back over, I also want to thank District Attorney Cantorna for diving into that list of unsentenced inmates. That list was also shared with me, and I have not shared it with anybody else. But it provides that snapshot that he was talking about, and I am interested in having a further conversation about that as well, but only under the appropriate circumstances. So I just wanted to extend my appreciation to everybody who's sharing information, having open discussions, and looking at the kinds of problems that we're facing and trying to be brave about how we address them. I'm done.
Okay. No, thank you, Janet. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, if Chris wanted to share anything on that, then we can also jump in.
I guess actually it's been the last month or so here. Janet and I have been emailing back and forth about mental health. Not so much within the correctional facility, but within the community and so forth. So I was trying to get her linked up with Tracy Small with the numbers about the divertment, how they divert individuals with mental health instead of bringing them to the jails. So it was kind of, I think Janet and Tracy was playing phone tag there a little bit. So I just said, hey, I think it might be better to get Natalie Corman and Tracy and Janet and the Prison Society involved into a meeting and just get it out and just try to answer their questions as best as possible and give them some information on what's going on and so forth and what we're all trying to accomplish here in Center County as a community as a whole. And I think I thought it was very educational for all of us to talk and hear their concerns as well as they can hear what we're doing and what's in the process and so forth. So I don't know, Janet, if you thought, you did mention that it was educational. I'm kind of glad because I always kind of worry on those things with that because, sometimes too much information is too much because you get overbogged. So hopefully you had enough. And if you have any other questions or you need another meeting with Natalie and Tracy and I, we're more than welcome to open our doors up and talk with you guys some more about this and go from there. That's it.
I'll just add that it's very clear that we do not have enough mental health services available to our community.
So one of the things that I think, Janet, when you reached out about this, when you did, we had sent over to you the cross systems mapping project report that was done going back to 2015. And so I hope that was helpful as well, because that was something that was helpful at that point to start to think about some of the gaps in the system and some of the strengths in the system in terms of where individuals with mental health challenges would be likely to drop through or be missed. And so that really informed many of the things that have been done over the last several years. But the Stepping Up initiative, I know, is one thing that we were really working on and excited about. Still are excited about, but with the pandemic, we've had to hit the pause button on that. But as the Stepping Up initiative coordinator and staff from, I believe it was the National Council of State Legislators or the council, what is it? The Center for Justice, I think, Carrie.
Council of State Government.
Council, that's it. Council of State Government. But that, as they said to us, we are one of the, we are a county that's doing a lot of the Stepping Up initiative, and really leading the way on that. And so, but they had offered some suggestions and feedback, and again, that was something that we were looking to tackle earlier this year, but the pandemic has come along. But that's not to say that we can't do it. The pandemic really has forced all of us, not asked us or suggested to us, but really forced us to examine the things that we've been working on and prioritize things in a different way, because we all have less bandwidth. But mental health, when it comes to our criminal justice system, is something that we are really committed to. So as we move throughout the year, we're still talking about it and working on it every day. But it has been challenging with the pandemic. So no, I appreciate the work that you're doing. on it, Janet. I hope the other chapters of the Prison Society are working on this as well, because I do believe from talking with other county commissioners throughout the state that we are in a better position than many, if not the majority. And so I hope that this is being done elsewhere, because I do believe as well that there are things that we can share with other counties and correctional facilities about how we are doing things. But absolutely. So as you continue to work on it, please bring us back suggestions and opportunities where we can improve.
Just to add to that, Commissioner Pipe, I think Carrie can probably add to it. I think when they were there, we had our meeting with the two young ladies. They asked us to be initiative county, and there was only, I think, 2 or 3 at that time in Pennsylvania that they recommend with the first meeting to be initiative, because we were so well off with our mental health and so forth, what we're doing. So Carrie, if you can remember, I can't recall that whole conversation, or with the letter they wrote, if you could add to that.
Yeah, so we had a meeting, I believe it was earlier this year, or it might have been late last year. With the pandemic, I've lost track of time, but we did have Council State Government come in. They provide technical assistance. They're funded through PCCD, and they evaluated. We had a meeting with all the different parts of the criminal justice system and mental health, and they recommended that we become an innovator county. There was only 2 other counties in Pennsylvania that have this status. We are going to apply for this status. We were gathering data that we have to, submit as part of this application, and the pandemic hit. So we haven't really had time to follow through with that, but they were very helpful. And we actually had a meeting, a phone call, myself and Tracy Small with some other researchers from Council State Government, wanting to talk about like our CIT program and things of that nature, because we also have a very strong CIT program in Pennsylvania, in Center County specifically, with how many officers we have trained and how many programs that Tracy has helped get up and running in other counties. So we're going to cycle back to that. We are going to continue our efforts. Actually, the JAG application for the decision points curriculum and the ORAS, the Ohio Risk Assessment System, and then the mental health position, those recommendations kind of came from our meeting, as gaps in services that we wanted. The warden wanted to implement that position for quite some time, but from that meeting and talks with them and their recommendation, their report that they generated for us, we were able to use that to help then, write the application, because we were showing that those were needs in our county. So that's why we're hoping we get that funding, and that'll help add those services to the facility. So I'm not saying we are by far, doing everything right, but I would say that we have a lot of things in place that other counties do not. So I think we need to look at the positives, and we'll continue to work and improve those efforts.
Okay, thank you both, Ward and Carrie. Appreciate it very much. Okay. Moving, and Mark, Mr. Fraley, know that you're on the call as well. Anything that you wanted to add from Prison Society perspective? Okay, all right. And Centerpiece, Kathy, we've heard from you earlier, but yeah, please, we'd love an update from your standpoint.
Everything is great as far as sales, traffic, really truly couldn't be better. That creates more of an issue in the sense of delivery, pickups, moving furniture across the floor. Obviously, we don't have our returning citizens from the correctional facility. That's our burden to bear. I certainly respect everything that the warden is doing as far as keeping everything safe. So as long as he can tolerate my pesky little emails every once in a while saying, hey, any idea when they're going to be back, we're all good. To echo what Bernie said, we are planning for the long term, though. We've hired individuals to come in part-time basis to help move furniture, because quite frankly, I'm breaking my staff. I have 3 key figures here, and they have been doing the work of 8 people as far as moving furniture and the physical part of this. So I can't break anyone. So we have started to plan long-term as far as hiring, bringing people in. The biggest impact for us is the reason we are here is our mission with the guys. And without the guys, we're a used furniture store. We're a thrift shop. Because we're really missing that component of it. So, I guess for us, it's a matter of keeping the home fires burning until they return, until we can get back to what we do. Obviously we've got our hands in some other fires, but in short, sales are great, but we are planning, and I appreciate what Bernie had said, we're planning for the long term here. As far as hiring, I guess we're creating jobs in that sense, so that's a good thing. I did want to mention Dr. Lockman, and I think it was and Carrie can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was at the last reentry meeting maybe, where they had an individual who was, I don't know if it was a DUI, exactly what the situation was, but they didn't have a ride to go where they needed to go. And he couldn't reach anybody to be able to pay for a taxi for them to get where they needed to go. So Centerpiece, I know CenterSafe has something in place. So when there's an individual that needs to go somewhere rather than stay at wherever they've been, wherever they are, CenterSafe will pay. If they don't fall in under CenterSafe's parameter of who they serve, Centerpiece will pick up that expense. So that way nobody has to remain wherever they are just because they don't have a ride. So that's something I wanted to add. And probably next meeting, I'll talk more about community conferencing and what Centerpiece is working collaboratively with CACJ on as far as community conferencing. But that's it.
Thank you very much, Kathy. We appreciate that. And just to give you a heads up, and I'm speaking on behalf of all three of the commissioners with my commissioner hat on, is we are developing a grant process for nonprofits to request CARES Act funds that the county received. And so by the end of September, we hope to have the application, if not the allocations, but at least the application out for the public for nonprofits to apply towards. And so we would hope that you would apply for that, and I think we would look very, very strongly on an application there. So again, it's the gentlemen and the women who were sent over from the correctional facility. That's really what, like you said, that's the heart, but it would be something that would at least help you through the difficult time.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because we have exhausted the PPP, which we did receive and we greatly appreciate. We haven't gotten into the forgiveness period yet, so we're keeping our fingers crossed there once we enter that phase of it. But we've exhausted that. So it's, we're no different than any other organization right now. We're just doing what we do.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you for the update, Kathy. We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Before we look to adjourn into executive session, is there any other announcements or anything that anybody else wanted to add? Okay. Hearing none, we'd look for a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
We would look for a second. Been all right. Been seconded by Controller Moser, and this would be for contract negotiations. That's what this executive session would be for. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, we're in executive session. Thank you everybody else for joining us, and we'll see you at the next meeting.